You know, when you think about daily life in South Africa, I mean, the energy situation, it's almost always part of the conversation, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's unavoidable.
We're talking a power grid that feels like it's constantly, you know, walking a tightrope, blackouts disrupting everything. And those old coal-fired plants. Well, they've definitely seen better decades. I think it's fair to say a lot of people are feeling the strain.
That's right. And it's more than just like a flickering light bulb. It hits businesses, healthcare, and frankly, just people's ability to plan their day. It's a significant drag, really, on the country's potential.
But look, in the midst of all this, something interesting has popped up. Eskom, right? The very company facing these huge challenges, they've announced they're creating a brand new separate company. And this isn't just like moving desks around. This is apparently a whole new entity, specifically focused on investing in renewable energy projects.
Right. And that really is potentially a pivotal moment for an organization so deeply rooted in traditional power, coal mostly. This signifies a pretty considerable shift, or at least the intention of a shift in thinking and strategy.
Absolutely. So for this deep dive, we really wanted to take a closer look at this development for you. What exactly does it entail? You know, what could be the real reasons behind this move?
Yeah, what's the thinking?
And what are the potential wins or maybe the pitfalls that people should be aware of?
Precisely. Our goal here, I think, is to kind of cut through the jargon, the official statements, and really try to understand what this could mean for Eskom, sure, but also for South Africa's whole energy future, based on the info we have, of course.
Okay, so let's get down to it then. This new company, the sources, really emphasize that this is a completely separate entity.
Right. Not just a division.
Not just a department within Eskom. What's the core significance of that distinction for the listener?
Well, the separation, it's key because it allows for potentially a fresh approach. You see, Eskom right now is carrying this massive load.
Yeah, the old plants.
The aging coal-fired power stations, exactly. And trying to aggressively transition to renewables within that existing structure, well, it faces significant hurdles.
Like what?
Financial burdens, for one. Operational complexities, even just ingrained ways of working. This new company, theoretically, offers a chance to start clean without that historical baggage.
So it's sort of like trying to update your old home's wiring, but you're still relying on the old creaky fuse box.
That's not a bad analogy, actually.
Sometimes you just need to install a new separate circuit breaker just to handle the new modern appliances.
That's a helpful way to think about it.
Yeah.
The current Eskom has, substantial debt, let's be honest, ongoing maintenance headaches with its coal fleet, and just a really complicated mix of responsibilities. A separate entity can be structured, hopefully, from the outset to be maybe more nimble, financially geared towards these innovative technologies.
Okay.
And perhaps more appealing to specific kinds of investors. Investors who might be, frankly, wary of the existing Eskom package deal.
And that brings us neatly to the why behind this, doesn't it? The sources suggest a major driver is attracting significant investment. Green energy investment. Why would creating a separate company make, say, an investor, or even just someone interested in the economy, more inclined to put money into this?
Well, look, increasingly you see investors focusing on ESG factors, right? Environmental, social, governance.
Right, ESG. We hear that a lot.
Yeah. And these investors, they want their money to support companies that aren't just profitable, but also ideally have a positive impact. Planet, society, that kind of thing.
Makes sense.
So investing in a company solely dedicated to renewable energy, solar, wind, that aligns very well with those goals. They might hesitate, though, to invest in the entirety of Eskom.
Because of the coal.
The history thing. Exactly. Given its carbon emissions, its past financial challenges, the whole picture, a distinct, clean, renewable energy company just presents a much more compelling, maybe simpler opportunity for them.
So it's almost like Eskom is saying, look, we know our overall story has some difficult chapters. But this new venture, it's a clean slate. It's focused on the future, on green energy, and your investment here will directly contribute to that positive change for South Africa. Something like that.
Precisely. It essentially ring fences the renewable ambitions. keeps them separate from the well-documented challenges tied to the existing Eskom.
Right.
And that clarity, that separation, it can lower the perceived investment risk, makes the whole proposition potentially much more attractive if you're holding the checkbook.
Right. And in terms of the actual energy sources, what kind of renewables are we actually talking about for this new company? The sources mention a few specific times people might start seeing more of.
Yeah, the primary focus, based on what we understand, seems to be on solar, wind, and also battery storage technologies.
Batteries are key too.
Absolutely crucial. These are right now the most established and generally cost-competitive renewable options. And they're essential for building a more resilient, sustainable energy mix for the country. Storage helps smooth out the ups and downs of wind and sun.
Got it. So the mainstays of the renewable world, really. Now, stepping back, looking at the bigger picture, South Africa doesn't exist in a vacuum, right?
No.
There are international agreements, expectations around climate change. How does this new Eskom initiative connect with South Africa's broader commitments on that front, something that ultimately affects all of us globally?
Well, South Africa, like many, many nations, has made pledges, commitments to reduce its carbon footprint under agreements like the Paris Agreement.
Okay.
And there's also just, growing pressure from the international community, trading partners, move away from coal.
Right.
So this initiative can be seen by the global community and by South Africans as a concrete step towards maybe fulfilling those commitments, demonstrating a serious intent, perhaps, to decarbonize the energy sector.
So it's not just about fixing the immediate energy shortages here at home, although that's huge.
No.
It's also about South Africa playing its part on the world stage, addressing a global challenge.
Exactly. And it's worth noting, too, that access to things like international climate finance partnerships, that could also depend on South Africa showing tangible progress. Moving towards a greener energy system, this could be part of that story.
Okay, so we've covered the new company, the why, separation, investment, the how, solar, wind, batteries, and the global context. Now, let's talk about what the average person might see as the real wins here, the potential positive outcomes.
Yeah, the what's in it for me aspect.
Exactly.
Well, the potential benefits could be quite significant. Firstly, pretty obviously, a greater reliance on renewables generally means cleaner air, fewer health problems associated with, burning coal.
That's a big one.
It is. Secondly, the renewable energy sector itself has the potential to generate new jobs.
Okay. In what areas?
Things like manufacturing components, installation, maintenance, jobs that could benefit communities, potentially different communities than the coal sector supports.
Right. New opportunities.
And perhaps most importantly, just for daily life, it offers a pathway, hopefully, to a more reliable and sustainable energy supply, reducing our dependence on those aging and, let's face it, often unpredictable coal plants.
Okay. Cleaner air for your family, potential job creation in your community, a more stable electricity supply so life isn't constantly disrupted. Those all sound like pretty significant positives.
They are, potentially.
But as with any big undertaking like this, there are always questions, aren't there? Uncertainties. What are some of the key ones surrounding this new venture that people should maybe keep in mind?
Yeah, there are definitely several important questions still unanswered, and they're questions worth asking. One crucial aspect is just how independent this new company will truly be.
Independent from who?
From the existing Eskom structure, and crucially, from potential political influence. Will it really have the freedom to make strategic decisions based purely on sound business technical principles, or will other factors creep in?
That's a big one, isn't it? We've all seen, perhaps, in the past, how political pressures can sometimes impact state-owned entities. If this new company isn't genuinely independent, well, it could just end up facing the same kinds of challenges that have, frankly, plagued Eskom.
Precisely. That's a key risk. Another key uncertainty, particularly if you're hoping for a swift end to load shedding, is the practical side.
Meaning?
How quickly can this new company actually become operational? And more importantly, start adding significant renewable capacity to the grid. The need for more power is, well, it's urgent now.
Yeah, speed is definitely a factor people care about. And I guess ultimately the big question that's probably on many people's minds is, will this actually solve the energy crisis, the one we're all living through? Is this the magic bullet?
Look, while this initiative holds, I think, considerable promise, and it could be a game changer in the long run.
Yeah.
It's very unlikely to be an immediate fix. Not on its own.
So not flipping a switch.
No. Building substantial renewable energy infrastructure, integrating it, sorting out the grid, it takes time and a lot of investment. It's a critical step, potentially, in the right direction, but it really needs to be part of a much larger strategy.
Okay. What else is needed?
A strategy that also deals with the immediate problems in the existing grid. Transmission upgrades, for example.
Yeah.
And also encourages everyone, businesses, households, to use energy more efficiently. Demand side matters too.
So it's a potential turning point, maybe, but it's not going to just switch off the problems overnight. It's more like laying the groundwork for a fundamental long-term change.
Exactly. Think of it as starting a long-distance race, not a quick sprint. And the success of this new company, which will ultimately impact everyone, is going to depend on many things.
Yeah.
Effective leadership, consistent government support, not just policy, but actual follow-through, and crucially, the ability to attract and keep skilled people. That's vital.
Well, as our source material kind of puts it, the big question that remains for everyone listening is, could this be the real start of a renewable energy revolution in South Africa, finally putting an end to the frustration of, the blackouts? Or will it turn out to be just another Eskom initiative, maybe with a new, greener label, but facing similar underlying issues?
That's the crucial point to consider, isn't it? It really requires careful observation, critical thinking, to understand the long-term impact. Will this new structure genuinely foster innovation? Will it really attract the necessary investment at the scale and speed that's needed to make a real difference in people's lives?
It certainly gives us and you a lot to think about. This move by Eskom is definitely a significant one. The potential consequences, good or bad, for South Africa's energy future are just enormous. It impacts every single person. We'll all be watching closely, I think, to see how this unfolds.
Indeed. It's a development that really deserves continued attention, continued analysis. The journey towards a sustainable energy future, it's complex, always is. And this new venture represents a substantial, though still uncertain, step along that path, one that will ultimately affect us all and generations to come.
So maybe for you, the listener, something to chew on. What are your hopes, really, and what are your concerns about this new renewable energy company? What do you personally believe are the biggest hurdles it will need to clear to actually succeed?
Yeah, and maybe what kind of impact do you hope this will ultimately have on your daily life, on the future of the country?
It's a conversation that's really just beginning, isn't it? And everyone's perspective matters in this.